Perception is projection.
What's that mean?
It means that you see what you expect to see. You perceive your own projections of the world.
You had that fucking hyper-viral moment about the scar makeup. Tell it again for the people that don't know.
So they did an experiment where they told a group of women that they're going to put scarring on their faces or visual disfigurements of some kind. And then they would go into an interview. And the purpose of the experiment is to work out whether the interviewer is going to treat them differently because of their facial disfigurement. What they didn't tell the women is as they were leaving to go for the interview, they touched up their makeup and without showing them the facial disfigurement, removed the scarring. So they went into the interview thinking they're facially scarred, but they weren't. And they came back reporting massive levels of discrimination, specific comments that the interviewer had made about them that they perceived. So you see what you expect to see. This is why teaching people victimhood is so dangerous, because it makes them victims. It makes them expect certain things, and then they will react differently. I mean, police interactions are a good example of this. If you expect that the police are going to treat you badly because of who you are, you're going to act in a different way and therefore cause more problems. And I say this as somebody, I was a very angry young man, and my wife used to piss me off so much. She would constantly say, like, I'd get into an argument with somebody and I'd be like, that guy's a prick, he did this. And she'd be like, you are creating those situations. You know that, right? And I was like, no, you're... And it took me like a good 10 years to work out. Absolutely, I was. Abso-fucking-lutely, I was. Right? So we perceive the things that we put out into the world. And this is, Peterson talks about this, is you can't see without hierarchy because your brain has to know what to focus on. And what you focus on is a function of the filter that you project onto the world. I'm focusing on you now instead of the bookshelf behind you. I could have been sitting here picking out a good book this entire time. It's been a waste. But so that's what's happening there.
Stopping it there, and welcome to Mika Reacts and Reviews, where we react and review to things on the internet. Same shirt, same day, different video. And today I just reacted to a small portion of a interview that one of the hosts from Triggernometry did with Chris Williamson, who has his own really amazing YouTube channel and podcast. I hope you guys go check it out. These are the type of men I think young men should be listening to, in my opinion. But what do I know? I'm a woman. I have a vagina. I know nothing. There's so many things that he said in just that short clip that I totally and 100% agree with. Victimhood, victim mindset helps nobody. No matter what group you're in, it would only keep you stuck. It would keep you complacent. It will keep you stuck in the past. Whether you're in a black community, whether you are a woman, whether you're part of the LGBTQ plus community, trans community, whether you are part of the fat community, whether you're part of the new victimhood, with that is this red pill or incel groups. Like, it's never going to benefit you to have this mindset. So if you have it, you better toss it, burn it, throw it away, and never look back. I've always said one of the biggest dupes to the black community is honestly being told over and over again, having it drilled into our fucking psyches, like literally pressed into our culture, that we are victims and we all oppress. It keeps us stuck. It just does nothing for you. And this over demoralization of all communities, not just one community over the other. And for the most part, people who see themselves constantly as victims just develop like victimhood narcissism, or a narcissistic victimhood, where everything, like you're fat or you're black or you're a man, and you walk around in the world and you think everyone's staring at you and everyone's judging you and everyone has these negative opinions of you, because that is your perception. You project it out into every interaction you have. And it's not to say like every lived experience is a lie. You should never trust your eyes and your ears and your intuition. But sometimes your perception is wrong. Sometimes your perception is built off of a lie, or off of some past lived experiences that you have woven into every present, everyday interaction in life. Those women who thought they still had this scar on their face and then went into the interview already perceived they were going to be looked over because of the scar. They already saw themselves as a victim of this scar and how the world is going to interact with them. So they went into the interview and probably manifested that in their own speech, in their own tone, in their own behavior and their own mannerisms. And if they did get overlooked, then it's the scar. It wasn't how I behaved in the interview. It's not because I already felt not confident in myself, so I may have spoken too low and I didn't have a lot of confidence or a lot of good presence in an interview. It was a scar. I'm a victim of the scar. And a lot of people do this. Instead of looking at their behavior and what they could have done better, it's I'm a victim because they don't like men. I'm a victim because they don't like women. I'm a victim because I am black. I am a victim because I am queer. And again, it's not to say that sexism and homophobia and transphobia and racism doesn't exist. And when I say sexism, I mean on both sides of the coin. Those things exist. But even if you face that, it doesn't give you an excuse to be like, oh, well, and then take that negative interaction and then weave it into every present interaction that you have. Hey guys, a quick little break. This video is sponsored to you by me in my merch shop. I came up with some new merch and Christmas is right around the corner. Get yourself some cool swag that will help you start a conversation, and it also helps support this channel. Okay, back to your regular schedule program.
One of the things that we've spoken about privately that we haven't yet spoken about publicly is victimhood. And James Cantor came on the show. He's a sex researcher. He gave me this really interesting quote I wanted you to react to. Shifting from aiding victims to aiding everyone who claims victimhood has led to an awful lot of charlatanism. Shifting from doing good to looking good has led to an awful lot of virtue signaling. Their interaction is now Western culture, at least online.
Stopping it there, I know that was just a short little bit, but I wanted to react to that before I forget. We shifted from aiding victims to aiding anyone who claims victimhood. We now live in a culture and society where you have to believe all women, right? Or you have to believe everyone lives experience. If someone says, hey, I was a victim of racism, sexism, transphobia, homophobia, whatever, then you must believe them no matter what. Of course, unless they're a straight white man. And that has fucked up, I think, society and a culture, and really have just kind of messed up the younger generations, starting with my generation, millennials, and then now Gen Z, where like they literally crumble at anyone who disagrees with their ideology because they basically have not been told to know, like your perception is not right. We don't believe your perception. I think it's a little bit skewed because of things that you have been told or whatever, right? I think a lot of the times these sort of movements that kind of go off the wrong path is sometimes started with good intentions. It's the whole thing like believe all women. There was a point of a time when sexual assault victims weren't believed or they were blamed for what happened to them. It's the whole like, well, why were you wearing a short skirt, or why were you walking at home at night by yourself? It's all your fault. That type of mentality, we fought against that to be like, no. These crimes should be taken seriously. We went from that to believe all women. A lot of times it started with good intentions and then it goes off the deep end. Being a victim is profitable. Like being a victim is almost a little bit of a privilege. Not a real victim. Claiming victimhood. That's what I meant to say. Claiming victimhood can get you a book deal. Claiming victimhood can make you go trend on TikTok and get you thousands of dollars worth of sponsorships. Claiming victimhood can get back at your worst enemy or get a leg up in a job. Claiming victimhood now is almost currency because people realize all I have to do is say I'm a victim and you have to believe me because that's now the new culture, right? Especially if mainstream or society has already drilled it into everyone's mind that this person is a victim. Again, women, black, gay, Muslim, whatever, you are a victim in society. You are oppressed, you are a minority, so no matter what you say, we must believe you, or you're on the wrong side of history. It's basically made a joke out of what it is to actually be victimized. And then correlating with that is this whole performative empathy. Looking like a good person is really not as important as being a good person. As you can see with someone like, what's his name? Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast literally like does tangible charitable work like literally helps hundreds, if not thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. He recently helped build wells from rural villages in Africa who didn't have access to clean water. He's doing an actual good deed, but then people will smear him and say, well, you're just doing this because you want to look good, or this is pandering or performative. But they will praise someone who just goes on TikTok and scream about feminism and just put hashtags in their bio. Of course, another thing is Mr. Beast is a white straight male. I mean, I'm assuming he's straight. But still, it's like we worship performative goodness than actually being a good person. You no longer have to actually do good deeds, or be a good part of society to be seen as a good person. All you have to do is just claim it in your bio with hashtags.
What do you think about that?
I think it's true. And if you think about, I believe people respond to incentives. That's fundamentally the driving force of all human behavior. We respond to incentives. If you incentivize victimhood, you're going to get victims. And I think online is really the shift that happens, because the online world rewards it, and it also allows people to fake victimhood in a way that in person you can't really. Like if you see someone living in a massive house, you go, well, you may be a victim in some ways, but you're actually well taken care of here. But online, you can create any avatar you want.
I just said this, and I didn't even get this far into the podcast, that victimhood is now, or claiming victimhood is now incentivized. Again, you get a leg up, you get a book deal, you get interviewed on national television, you get a part in a fucking movie, like whatever. Like you get to be the voice of your community if you just claim victimhood. Nobody wants to look like a bad person, so people are just going to pander to it. Anyway, let's continue.
Yeah, the fact that our opinions are more important than our deeds, and our words are scrutinized while our actions are done in private. It seems to me like being someone who out front proselytizes about standing up for the underclass is almost becoming a red flag to go, I probably should scrutinize what's actually going on behind the scenes here.
But I mean, what do you expect if you live in a culture that, again, they glorify performative goodness, being a good person, than actual actions of being a good person? If you just say the right thing, if you just put the right hashtags in your bio, you can do whatever you want behind the scenes. We see just performing on social media as a higher than doing actual good deeds in your actual real life. Right? The real heroes never go viral. The real heroes never actually get praised. The firefighters of the world, the nurses of the world, the good teachers of the world, the good parents of the world, humanitarian people who go into war-torn countries and dig through the rubble to find missing bodies. Like the real heroes, they never go viral because most of the time they don't give a fuck about that shit like that. But the most vapid, low IQ, just people on the planet are the ones that are worshipped by my generation and the younger generation. And so yeah, like why should I have to actually be a good person when I can just be like hashtag free Palestine, hashtag Black Lives Matter, hashtag women rule the world? Like if I can just hashtag and put a couple of TikToks out, then if that's praise more than a hardworking men and women in real life that's actually doing good things, then why should I even do that? That's hard. That's a lot of work. It's easy just to put out a TikTok video. Why would I go do actual hard work and hard labor when I can just do this? When I can just, do a dance in front of a sad song and then put Black Lives Matter at the end? Well, like why would I actually sacrifice if I can just do this? That was just, again, a very short clip of a very long podcast. This first one was on Triggernometry, and the second half that I reacted to was actually on Chris Williamson's platform. Go sub to both of those channels. They're really, really good. Actually, some nuance and some intellect there. I have to say, and I've said this in other videos before, usually when I hang out with very progressive left people, the more they scream about like they really just want to uplift black voices, and they're male feminists, and they're allies for the LGBTQ plus. The more they scream about it, you hang around them long enough, and it usually doesn't even take that long, they turn out to be such fucking assholes. Because Their mind has almost been warped by social media. Everyone in our comment section is telling them, you're such a good person, that they actually might even start to believe that. And they never actually look at themselves in a mirror and their true personality, or who they really are and what they're really contributing to society in their everyday life. Anyway, guys, that's it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell to get the notifications when I do upload. All of that really does help with the algorithm, guys. And please donate. It helps keep me on this platform. And you guys have an amazing day. Bye.
One of the things that we've spoken about privately that we haven't yet spoken about publicly is victimhood. And James Cantor came on the show. He's a sex researcher. He gave me this really interesting quote.